Starting off, I want to start with the ingredients that will, one, take the longest, and then also some of these ingredients I need for multiple different dishes. So for instance, the lentils, I'm going to mix them and cook them with the quinoa, but I also need some of these cooked lentils to go with the jackfruit and when I'm forming the actual oxtail. So I'll definitely be starting off by cooking the lentils and the quinoa. So I'm taking about 1 cup of quinoa and then a little bit under half a cup of lentils, and we're just going to cook this in some water, no salt, because we're only using the lentils and quinoa for our meat mixture. A bowl and some jackfruit. I'm going to get this measured out for you guys. This is my jackfruit here. This jackfruit that I get it from Sprouts. And you want jackfruit that is not in a brine, because like canned jackfruit, it kind of already has a certain taste to it because it's been in a brine. If you do get canned jackfruit, I recommend boiling it, rinsing it, putting it in some fresh water, boiling it a few times to get out that brine taste. So fresh young jackfruit like this is better. This has not been sitting in a brine at all. And it looks like this. It's this nice, rich brown color. This is about 2.5 packs of the actual jackfruit. Just do it all. I actually want to save a couple of pieces of jackfruit because I like to put it in my collard greens. Nothing crazy, maybe like a little handful I want to put aside for the collard greens. So let's level this out, and we have about close to 4 cups. So let's just call this 4 cups of young jackfruit. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to add it to my bowl here, and what we're going to do is we're going to break this all the way down until we have almost like a paste, like almost like a burger patty type consistency. I'm just gonna break it all down with my hands today, and you will see a lot of liquid will be released. And dump some of the liquids as you go. I'm gonna leave a few pieces, like these stringy like pieces in there, because I would like to create a little bit of texture for the actual vegan oxtail. But like big pieces like this, we definitely want to break those down. This, it's like little meat tenderizer thing. Did pull out that cooked quinoa and lentils. Let's see, we have about 2 cups. Now this mixture right here, I want to put in the food processor because I don't want these big pieces of lentil. This I want to turn into a paste. So that's exactly what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna start off with about 2 cups of our cooked quinoa and lentil mixture. I'm gonna add all of that into our food processor. I'm just gonna add a tiny bit of water, which should hopefully, yeah, that's much better. It is a paste, but there are some bits of lentils still in there, so I'm gonna break this down a bit more. Add all of that jackfruit right on in there. 1 tablespoon of tomato paste, and I'm gonna take another tablespoon of tomato paste. So 2 tablespoons total. Creole seasoning. Let's go 1 tablespoon for the Creole seasoning. I love this seasoning so much. It has a smoky taste to it, which is really nice. It already has that smoke in it, so we don't need nothing like liquid smoke or anything like that. This seasoning here has a perfect smokiness, and I love putting this in grains, like what we're doing today, a meat replacement. And then I'm going to be taking, this is our Jamaican jerk seasoning. So I got 1 tablespoon of the jerk seasoning. I'm gonna take some onion and herbs. That was mostly chives on top. I want some of that onion powder. So I got 2 teaspoons of our onion powder. And then lastly, I'm gonna go in with our seasoning salt. And for the seasoning salt, I'm not going to go too heavy because we're still going to cook them and simmer them and all that. So I want to have room to be able to add more salt if I'd like to. So I'm just going to take 2 teaspoons of our seasoning salt, which I love so much. It has marigold flowers in it, and it has incredible flavor. Again, perfect for anything. Is a all-purpose seasoning salt. And then I'm going to be adding a little bit of flour, which again is going to help with the binding. We don't want anything to fall apart when we're cooking it, simmering it, none of that. We don't want to have to be super gentle and hope that it doesn't crumble, so that's why I'm going to add flour. Psyllium husk powder is also a really great thing as well. If you have psyllium husk powder, then you will probably speed up that binding process and maybe skip a few steps that I will be showing you guys later. But I don't have any psyllium husk powder, so I'm just going to be taking some flour, and you're going to get the same result. It's not like psyllium husk powder has a certain taste or anything like that. You just need a good binder. 1/4 a cup. I'm going to go in with 2 tablespoons. I like coconut aminos because they are a little bit sweet, so that will help kind of balance out those flavors. So this is what we have right here, and this is what is going to be making up our vegan oxtails. So that underneath. Is pretty much our meat-like texture. So you see we have those like stringy fibers in there still from the jackfruit, a couple nice big pieces. That's gonna really help us create a nice texture for the vegan oxtail. So this is exactly what I wanted. So it looks pretty good here. I'm now about to get ready to actually assemble the actual vegan oxtail. We're going to be getting our bone for our vegan oxtail, and I decided to use this, which is yucca root. Peel back all of the skin. I got 2 of these, but I don't believe that I'll need to, but I got 2 just in case. I made one time some vegan wings, and I used the center part of corn as the bone, but it was too difficult, y'all. It took me like 30 minutes to get maybe 3 little tiny bones, and I was like, no, corn is just a little bit too rough, so I'm trying this today. I'm gonna cut this in half, and this is what you have. I'm not gonna cook the root or anything like that because I'd imagine it would get softer. So I just want some nice bone like pieces. I would like to have little circular pieces, but I'm just gonna go right down the center, just like that, right down the center. And then I'm gonna go one more time, again, right down the center. And it's firm, but it's not too firm to where your knife can't get through the actual root itself. So these are like the pieces, the size pieces that I have. I'm just gonna go over them and kind of like perfect them because I want to have all the, I want them all to be like the same size. So I'm just gonna perfect them. Start off with these, and then if I need more, then I will process some more down. Rice paper is what we're going to be using. So this plate here has some water on it. Take your rice sheet, let it get wet. I'd say maybe like at least 15 seconds on both sides, fully covered in water, more like flimsy like this. It is good to go. So I have one down there. I'm gonna do a second one to create like a really big sheet. I'm just putting them right on top of each other. You guys probably can't tell because they're literally clear. I'm going to take our mixture, and then I'm just gonna place some down. It's not a certain measurement that I'm putting down. We are just going with what feels right, just enough to kind of fill that, to fill the rice paper. So the rice paper sheet is stopping here, so I don't want to go all the way to the end because then we're going to have some oozing out. So I'm stopping a little bit. We have about that much gap between the actual end of the rice paper. Cross it over like that. Again, get that shape really nice. So we have like this. I'm gonna come in on the ends and do like that, almost like you're wrapping a gift, the same way that you would tuck and wrap it. I'm folding in the ends because I don't want anything, you know, rolling out. Roll it over. Just flip it over like that. And if you have any excess on the side, you can cut it off. Think of the rice paper kind of like as the fat, the vegan fat, of course. So if you don't like things like super fatty, you could just cut off any excess and then just roll it one last time because it naturally is just gonna seal itself. So right now I have 3. I want 4 of them before I actually form the quote-unquote oxtail. So I'm gonna do one more for you guys, and then I'll show you how I'm gonna form them. I have a plate here with water because we need rice paper one last time. Get as much excess water off as you can. Put it right on top, and you could kind of press them in so they'll stick. Okay, let me see. Okay, so I think I'm just gonna do 3. I'm just gonna do 3. I'm gonna do 4 actually to completely cover it like that. So you have it like this, and then put it back in here. So you want it as tight as possible. And then just kind of squeeze it together and get a nice tight roll. Gonna be some thick oxtails. Get a nice tight roll, and then come around like that. So we just binded 4 of them together. Then I'm gonna take my parchment paper to just get it nice and tight like that. And I'm gonna pop this in the freezer for a little bit just so it could get a little bit harder. That way it'll make it a lot easier to cut it. So just like that. It's gonna be our oxtail. This is one oxtail. Before putting that in the freezer, I forgot to mention I did have quite a bit of the actual that jackfruit mixture that we made left over. I just went ahead and freezed it though because I'm only preparing for 2 people, so it was just going to be too much. But if you are cooking for more people, there definitely was enough mixture left to probably make one more complete oxtail like I just showed you guys. So right now I'm going to be prepping my greens. I took 2 bunches of collard greens, and then I'm going to take half of this a large cabbage head. I like combining my cabbage and collard greens together. They're like my 2 favorite things. So I just put it all in one pot. I like kind of larger size pieces, but you could chop yours however you would like. I'm gonna prep the other things that I put in my collard greens, which is gonna be the turnips. These are Taiwanese leeks, which I'm gonna rinse these off. I'll probably do about 3 of these. And then of course, my bell pepper, and then the celery stalks, I'm just gonna put them in there whole. And then some onion, and then some garlic. Got our leeks cleaned. I'm gonna start off with our turnips. This is my favorite, absolutely favorite part of greens. So today I'm taking 2 large turnips. I'll usually do 1, and then I'm always looking for more pieces of turnips. If anyone's wondering what they taste like, it's kind of like if potato and maybe onion, and then maybe I would say like potato and onion had a baby. It's a lot more soft than a potato if you were to boil potatoes, but that texture, and then they also become translucent almost like an onion. It has that type of texture, and they also just taste really good. And then for the actual turnips, I do all different size pieces. After chopping my turnips, I know it looks like a lot, y'all, but trust me, I really love turnips, so we like a lot of them in there. I'm just chopping some red bell pepper, and then I'm also going to take half of a green bell pepper. And like the turnips, you could cut them in any size pieces that you would like. And then I'm just going to be adding a few stalks of celery. The celery I'm actually going to remove at the end. So I'm just adding these larger pieces simply just for the flavor, and then we'll pull them out at the end. I'm taking some onion, and I'm just chopping this into some small pieces. Next, I'm going to be taking, these are Taiwanese leeks, which you could get at your local Asian market. These kind of have a aroma of garlic and onion, but the flavor is similar to garlic, onion, and like a shallot. They actually smell so good. This is my first time using the Taiwanese leeks, and they actually had a really great flavor. So in my pan, I'm taking a couple of garlic cloves, just smashed garlic cloves, and then I'm adding in all of those veggies that we just prepped. I have the heat on like a medium low. We're not looking to really get a nice browning on anything. I just want to get it started. I'm taking those celery stalks, and again, the celery will be removed at the end. That's why the pieces are so large. So just toss all of that around, and then I'm just going to season with our seasoning, salt, and then our Creole seasoning. So these are going to be the same seasonings throughout the whole video, and these seasonings will be linked below. You could order them at myachi.com. Once I add in my seasoning, I'm taking that jackfruit that we put aside earlier in the beginning, and we're just going to add that right to the pan as well. Have a little bit of the mashed up jackfruit, and then I have some whole pieces as well, just again to create some texture. Okay, so now that we got all of those ingredients in our pan, I'm gonna go ahead and start adding in our cabbage and the collard greens that we chopped. Now everything is gonna cook down, so it might look piled high, but it's all gonna steam and cook down. Once I add all of the collard greens and cabbage into the pot, I then add water. It's not a certain measurement for the water because for me, when I make the greens, I flavor them as I go. I don't really think the amount of water really matters too much. I will say I don't like a ton of water because I'm not making cabbage and collard green soup. So I just need a little bit of water. And then once the collard greens and cabbage cook down, then I kind of just adjust from there, if that makes sense. So I'll add more water or add more seasoning if needed. Unless you are planning on saving the broth at the end, which I personally don't, I don't need a lot of juice. So as you could see, this is the collard greens and the cabbage. Once it begins to cook down, I could visually see the liquid a little bit more. I could begin to start stirring everything around and give it a good taste and make adjustments as needed. I'm adding in a couple pepperoncinis as well because if y'all have not noticed, I like to hook it up. Just throw it all in a pot and I promise you the flavor is so good. You're getting so much goodness in every single bite between the turnips, the bell peppers, the jackfruit, the cabbage, the collard greens. It is so good. This is how I make my greens. I've been making them like this for a cool minute and everybody absolutely loves them. So to conclude with the collard greens, I'm periodically checking on them and again just making any adjustments necessary. In total, I cooked them probably for about 40 to 45 minutes or just until your turnips are cooked and those greens are no longer like that bright green color. So next I'm just making some quinoa and lentils. This is so simple, you guys. I'm just chopping up some onions, a Roma tomato, and then I'm going to be cooking half a cup of quinoa and then just adding a little sprinkle of lentils. Now earlier we did cook quinoa and lentils for the actual meat for the vegan oxtail, and I did have some left over, but I actually used that leftover to give to my dogs and put in their dog food since I already didn't put no salt in it. So if you did save your quinoa and lentils from earlier, then you could just saute up some onions and tomatoes and then add in your cooked lentil and quinoa. But again, since I already used mine, I'm just making some fresh quinoa and lentils. This is super simple, you guys. I'm literally just seasoning it with seasoning salt, putting a lid on top of it, calling it a day. What you guys really came here for, okay? It is now time to pull out those vegan oxtails from the freezer. We put them in there to let them chill, not only to help them become firm, but also while we were prepping the other ingredients. So I want to say in total they were in the freezer maybe for about 35 to 45 minutes again. And now the moment of truth, okay? It is now time to cut into it. When I cut into it, y'all, I was so happy and pleased. They look absolutely perfect. I love the way that yucca root turned out in being our vegan bone. So I'm just going to chop these up. They also are nice and firm, but not, you know, like too firm. They cut perfectly. Okay, so y'all just take a minute to look at the detail. These look incredible. So now I'm just gonna come over to my cast iron pan, heat it up, add some avocado oil, and I want to get a nice browning on both sides of the vegan oxtail. And then once they have that nice golden brown, I'm gonna remove them from the cast iron pan, and then we're gonna make our sauce, and then we'll add them back in later once we've created our sauce. Look at that browning on them, you guys. I
was just, I was so impressed. They literally look wise, it's a 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10. So I'm gonna pop these out, and then now let's make the actual sauce for our oxtails. To start with our sauce, I'm going to be taking the other halves of those bell peppers that we used earlier for our collard greens. So that's red and green bell pepper, these little baby carrots. I am going to be taking half of a habanero, the half that does not have the seeds in it, and then I'm going to be taking some thyme, and then also these little baby potatoes, and then a little bit of onion, and then also some of those Taiwanese leeks from earlier. If you don't have the leeks, then a good substitute would just be some green onions, also known as scallions. So I'm just chopping up all of our vegetables here. And then I also took 2 little cloves of garlic and chopped those down. So back in that same cast iron pan, adding all of those vegetables, and we're just gonna give that a nice little toss around. Again, we're not really looking to brown anything. So we have the heat on about a medium low. And then for my seasoning, I'm going to be going in with my seasoning, salt, and then also going to be going in with our Creole seasoning. After adding in those seasonings, I'm going to be taking 2 tablespoons of tomato paste. I really like that rich tomato taste, so I took 2, and then I'm adding in 1.5 cup of water, and then now I'm just adding in our potatoes, and we're gonna let those potatoes fully cook. And then I also added in that thyme as well. And then I'm on to taking, this is going to be 2 tablespoons of coconut aminos, and then followed by the coconut aminos, I'm going to take 2 tablespoons of Kansas City style barbecue sauce, but you can use any barbecue sauce that you would like. I'm giving that a good stir. And then like I just mentioned, we're going to let those potatoes fully cook. And then this is that 2nd tablespoon of the barbecue sauce, so 2 in total. After the potatoes are fully cooked, I'm gonna remove the potatoes to then make room for adding back in those oxtails. Okay, so we're just gonna add them all in one by one. And right now our heat is about, again, at a medium low. I let those oxtails cook in there on that low heat for about 10 minutes. And then now I'm just removing those celery stalks from earlier, from our collard greens. And I'm now gonna make our mac and cheese. I've made mac and cheese so many different ways. This is the simplest, minimal, as less ingredients as possible. And this is probably the best version of my mac and cheese. So I have some cooked mac and cheese noodles while they're still nice and warm, put them in a mixing bowl. I did half a cup of vegan cheddar cheese, vegan mozzarella cheese, taking our seasoning salt, our onion and herb seasoning, adding a dash of some avocado oil, and then I'm going in with a cup of almond flour. Almond flour is, let me tell y'all real quick. Almond flour is a amazing cheese alternative. It is how I make vegan Alfredo sauce. It is also a great vegan Parmesan cheese alternative, and it's literally just one ingredient. If you think about it, almonds are also used to make plant-based milk. So this is just a great, like, cheesy, almost, it's good as well, like for like a queso. So I just take almond flour, and then I'm just adding a little bit of water as I go till I have like a nice creamy consistency. And then this is my quick and easy mac and cheese. Put down a piece of parchment paper, pour in our noodles that have the cheese, all the seasoning and everything. Just pour it on in there, and then I top it again with just a little bit of the vegan cheese, and then I pop it in the oven at 385 degrees, and I cooked it for about 35 to 40 minutes, but honestly, you could just cook it till you are satisfied. I don't like runny mac and cheese, so I definitely like to have that crunch on, not necessarily a crunch, but I like it to be kind of crispy on top and then nice and moist on the center. That is how I like my mac and cheese. So, you know, just cook it for however long you would like to. And then this is my mac and cheese out the oven, y'all. So good, so simple. Really, again, not a bunch of ingredients. I was gonna make some plant-based milk and put milk in there and all that, but I was like, no, this is so simple. This is a very simple and easy way to make mac and cheese. And then just cutting right into it is so good, y'all. This is exactly how I like mine. I like it just like this. Crispy on the top, moist on the inside. Perfect. This is perfect for me. So everything now at this point is cooked, and I'm just gonna add everything to our plate, starting off with the mac and cheese, and then I'm adding in the collard greens. Look how good those look, y'all. Y'all can't tell me those collard greens and cabbage do not look so good. Every bite is gonna be just a different burst of flavor. And then after I add the collard greens, I'm adding our quinoa and lentils. And then I'm going to be going in with our vegan oxtail. This is how they look. I didn't smother them like on top with the sauce because I felt like then you guys wouldn't really be able to see the detail really good, you know. But when it was time to eat, I definitely loaded up some more of that sauce on top. And the sauce actually was really good. It was like a rich, thick, tomato-y sauce, and I really love that sauce. I actually was like, I need to just make a side of that sauce. It was really good. And I also fried some plantains. I guess I didn't include that in here, but you'll know how to do that. Just cut them, put them in some avocado oil, and fry them. This is the complete dish. It was absolutely so good. The mac and cheese was so good. Here is a detailed shot of the oxtail, and that concludes this video. I hope you guys enjoyed this recipe, and all of the details for the seasonings that we use will be linked below, and I will see you guys in our next video.